Are you drinking at all, or is it just me, the lone wolf again?
You, the lone wolf, I'm afraid. I only drink coffee, so I'm repping friends. But yeah.
Okay, this is your first question. What is the best coffee?
That's the way to start a row, that is. At the moment, my go-to is Law Latte Macchiato out of the Tassimo machine, which is what I'm drinking now. But if I'm feeling fancy, at the moment I go for the Quality Street Purple Costa.
Yes.
Which is so good and so Christmassy. Gets me in the mood.
So, welcome Reece to this little interview. Thank you so much for joining me on an episode. I've actually been really excited to actually do an episode editor to editor, so this is actually really exciting for me.
Cool, I'm glad to be here.
Wicked. So, editing. So the first thing I kind of want to dive into is kind of like, where did kind of like filmmaking sort of begin for you? Can you remember like kind of your earliest memory, or where filmmaking actually began? Do you remember like kind of how it all started?
Yeah, so I was a late bloomer when it comes to filmmaking. I was always somebody who loved telling stories. When I was like 6 years old, I would write I called them novels. They were about 6 pages, but it was something I really enjoyed doing. But I never saw filmmaking as a thing until I was about 18. I was starting up a YouTube channel because that was a thing I wanted to do at one point. And
yeah, that was a trend, wasn't it?
I think it's a thing for everyone at some point or another. But the deal was that I was going to be on camera, and then a friend of mine was going to be the one who edits everything. But then for personal reasons, she dropped out of it. And I was left with all the footage that I'd filmed and nowhere for it to go. So I basically taught myself editing from scratch.
Yeah, same way.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a nice way to do it, because you kind of pick up the things that you like and the things you don't like. And it's like, you don't inherit other people's bad habits. You know what I mean? That's about 4 years ago now.
That's really cool. So what was kind of like the first things you sort of did that kind of got you into editing?
I was doing the YouTube, so I was doing gaming videos of myself, and I had a foul mouth back when I did that. I would swear a lot.
I'd love to see that.
So what I would do is I would put swear counters on my videos, and I would edit it so that every time I swore, you would hear a ding and a little number would pop up in the corner, and that kind of.
So cool. So is it still around now, the YouTube channel?
I stopped actually uploading 6 months after I started. It wasn't something I actually enjoyed doing in the end. And I jumped onto a media course and got involved in the world of filmmaking for the first time.
That was amazing. So what kind of like, kind of inspired you that, this is kind of, actually, I do enjoy editing. This is really something I want to do. What was kind of at that school, for example, that made you think, actually, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do?
I think it's something that's always in the background of like, I find that really cool. I loved films when I was growing up. I loved movies, and I loved like watching them constantly. But it was never presented to me when I was young as something I could actually do as a career. I went to a grammar school, so it was always physics and maths and all the STEM subjects. It was just like, it sounds really cliche, but basically when I started doing it for YouTube, it was just like a natural thing, which I was like, I really love doing this. This is crazy. And then I joined media production because that was just the next step, I guess. And then someone said, okay, do you want to be the editor on my film? You make short films in uni. I was like, yeah, sure. And I just seem to have a knack for it, I guess.
I think a lot of editors, it is kind of you've either got it or you haven't. And I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I find that having like a music background definitely helps when it comes to cutting and timing and things like that. I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, I don't have one, but I can see how with like rhythm and stuff.
Yeah, with rhythm and that. I mean, so say for example, there was someone who really wants to get into editing or wants to do like an editing course or doesn't know where to start. What advice would you give to someone who is starting out with editing when it comes to say like editing their first film?
I think the most basic thing that every editor needs to be able to do is edit a conversation. Just a simple 2-person conversation back and forth. So if somebody wants to be an editor and they haven't had the opportunity to actually edit yet, I would say get a family member who doesn't mind spending 5 minutes and just record a conversation with the two of you, and try and have a few camera angles. They don't need to be lovely camera angles, you're not winning Oscars, but have 3 camera angles, have this conversation, and just see how you would edit it, watch it, edit it, and then get people to watch it, see what they think. And if you can learn to master the emotion of a conversation, then that will funnel through into everything else.
No, that's really cool. Now, there's always people who kind of watch films and that sort of thing, or people who don't necessarily have knowledge of the film industry sort of watch films. And a lot of people always say to me, it's always the editor that makes a film. I mean, how true is that statement?
I think it depends on what film you're watching. The editor's done their job when you don't know the editor has done their job. That was always what I was told. Good editing is editing you can't see. So I don't think editors make films. I think everybody does. I also direct and write as well. So I have the notion that every single person involved in the film makes the film. There's not one person who's more important. Yeah. But a bad editor can ruin a film. I will say that. Yeah. But then a bad director can ruin a film. So I guess it's just like
comes down film to film. No, I agree. So so talk me through like some of your stuff. What's been like the best production you've ever been part of, or like you kind of like the piece of work that you thought, do you know what, I actually did a really good job there. That was really sick.
Honestly, as an editor, I think the piece I'm proudest of is the one I did on National Youth Film Academy. Because
was that Set Ready?
It wasn't called Set Ready when I did it.
No, it wasn't. What was it called back in the day?
It was a crap name. It was called the Introductory Course.
Introductory Course, that was it, yeah. Well, like, I'm trying to think whether, because I remember they changed it to Set Ready around the time that our cohort. Let's do that again. Because I remember they called it Set Ready around kind of. Oh my god, what's going on? Because I remember they called it Set Ready around kind of the time we did it, like.
Yeah, the one I did, literally, there was we did the screening, and then we all went over to a bar, and we went over there for food, and it was there that they announced that they were going to call the next one Set Ready. So it was actually
so it must have been Set Ready.
I think you were the first one. Yeah, we felt like the guinea pig year, because everyone knows Dean. Is he called Dino now? Dean Smith? Yeah. He was in my group. He wasn't part of the team. He was brand new, like all of us, and he was like one of my friends on the course.
Yeah, because he was a course assistant on my one.
Yeah, he's worked his way up in the past 2 years since I've done it. But yeah, so I did it in spring 2018, and we did a film called, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about a group of serial killers who get together to kind of compete, and they have little competitions about who can do the best kill. And it was a mockumentary. Oh, no. Yeah, it was a mockumentary. You follow this new guy who was played by Dean, who joins.
Oh no, I remember seeing this. And you had the Pokemon guy in it.
Yeah,
Pokemon. Yeah, no, I remember that film. Yeah, no, it was good. That.
Thank you.
Oh, you that was the film you edited?
That was the film I edited. It was also my concept. So I came up with the concept. The writers went away and made it brilliant.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was something I'd never edited comedy before, so that was something new, and I remember being really proud of it, and I still am, to be fair, really, really proud of it. So I'd say
because I like the payoff as well. I mean, I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but I remember the payoff just being really stupid but brilliant.
Yep, it was just like we kept sitting in the room that we had, and we kept being like, how can we make this just a bit more ridiculous? And then like the fish.
That's the word for it. The whole thing was ridiculous, but
yeah, it was absolutely mental. Like, and some of the stuff, like the opening scene where you've got Dean walking across a bridge and he waves at someone.
Yeah,
completely ad-libbed. He did that just as he was walking. Someone went past him and he just waved at him, and we just thought it was hysterical. It was a really good film, and it was really fun to edit. And because I was always off set editing, so when the footage came through and I got to see what they were doing with it, it was brilliant. It was so much fun.
No, that's really cool. So let's talk about this project. So in terms of kind of like 2020, how's it kind of been for you as as a filmmaker? It's
been weird. I think it's weirder for people at my level, our level, I think, of like independent filmmakers, if you would class yourself as that, because we don't have the pressure of trying to make a living out of it. But we also for me anyway, it was like when I'm not making things, it annoys me almost. It makes me like anxious. It's like I feel like I'm wasting time or I'm missing opportunities, that kind of thing. But I actually did something similar to you previously and made something but over Zoom. So I've been trying to keep active, but just doing what I can,
It's hard sometimes, isn't it? It's the motivation, I think, that's always the key thing, and that's been a lack of that this year.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So in terms of the film we're making at the moment, what kind of drew you towards it? Was it more kind of I need to get involved in something, or was it more kind of, what was the reason?
The main reason I wanted to get involved with it was because I saw there was an editing position, and I haven't had just an editing position since the National Youth Film Academy. And I was kind of missing not having to take charge of a project, being able to have somebody else's footage and idea and concept come through and make what I want, what I made of it as an editor. That was something that I was missing a bit, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny because I had the complete opposite notion. I was
Really?
getting sick to death of just coming in as the editor and not, having that control. And I hadn't had that for well over a year. And so it's funny that. So kind of, what do you think people will get excited for about this film? What do you think's kind of unique about it and great about it?
I think one of the unique things you've got is that you've got each of the actors acting as their own cinematographer. Obviously, because of the situation and how it dictates it, I've seen a lot of people who've recorded over lockdown just doing it over Zoom. And then that kind of negates any need of cinematography almost. Like there is a need, but there's also, you get away with a lot more and not having a lot more. But I think now, because of the way you're doing it, something which is going to be really interesting is seeing how each person films their character. It's going to be a very interesting piece of how the actors not only interpret their characters as actors, but also interpret their characters as filmmakers. And I'm looking forward to seeing how people do that.
No, it should be very exciting. So, once we get this film out, that's when you do an amazing cut, that sort of thing. What's next for you? Say, pandemic's over, what's the next step? Or have you thought that far ahead yet?
I know I have. I've got so much I want to do. I've got a feature film I'm writing. I've got a short film which I've written, which is out in competitions at the moment, because I'm trying to get the production budget for that made. I've got another short film which I want to make, which is like 2 minutes long. I've got a film which I'm editing at the moment. I also want to do a master's course, if I can, at the NFTS. So I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to be.
That's good though. That's what it's all about. Is keeping busy.
Definitely. I just get bored if I'm not busy. That's the way I like it.
Yeah. I'm absolutely the same. Got to keep projects coming and going. That sort of thing. Well, Reece, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's always good hearing from another editor's kind of point of view. That sort of thing, because it's all really good stuff. But thank you so much. We'll look forward to getting this film out and seeing what you do.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, buddy.